everyone, welcome to this channel. It's Nashola Sewing. In today's tutorial I'll be showing you guys the sewing part of this dress. The cutting part is already up on the channel, so you can just check the description box for the link. Let's get started. So in our previous tutorial I showed you guys how to cut this fabric. So in this video we're going to be learning how to join the pieces together. So the first thing I'm going to do is just to pick out the front piece of this scrub. So the next thing I'll be doing then is just adding 0.5 inch round the neckline. I'll be adding 0.5 inch, like I'll be marking 0.5 inch round the neck, the v-neck. I'll advise you do this on the back of the wrong side, because I was doing mine on the right side, so I'll advise you do yours on the wrong side of this fabric. So once you're done marking out the 0.5 inch round, you just go in with your ruler and roll out the 0.5 inch you marked round. The purpose of me doing this is to help me have straight sewings along that line. So once I'm fixing the neck part of this clothes, I'll be having straight sewing. It's just serving as a guide. Then the next thing I'm going to do is just to place the part I've cut out on the neck. I'm going to be placing it along that 0.5 inches I've marked earlier, and I'm going to go make a stitch down. So this is what I've done. After making a stitch, this is what it came out to look like. So your own should be looking like this. So the next thing I'm just going to do is just to mark where my stitches stopped, along the neckline. So the place I marked, I'll just be going in with my scissors to give a notch there. I'll give a notch close to the stitches, so this will enable me turn properly. So this, I'll just be gentle, just ensure you don't cut past the sewing line. One thing you should notice that the pieces of fabric I cut that I added to the neck, I sewed it on the right side. I added it right side facing each other. So I'm just going to use it to turn the neck, just like the way you would turn a neck with bias. So I just sewed it on the right side, as you can see. Then after I have made my notches, I'm just going to arrange the neckline properly so the v-neck can come. After that is done, I am just going to go ahead and make a top stitch round the neckline. I'll just be top stitching, but before I go to top stitch, I'm going to cut out the excess at this point, then sew a line at that point too. So this is what it came out looking like after I've done. I've gone ahead to do the top stitch and as well sew that part and cut the excess. So I'll be setting it aside, and the next part I'll be working on now is the back part of the top, the scrub top. So this is the wrong side of the scrub and this is the right side. So the next thing I went ahead to do was to pick in an interface that I'll be using to turn the neck side, because I'll be making a stitch along that side to turn it over. So what I went ahead to do was to put the right side of the interface against the wrong side of the main piece, as you can see. It's because I'll be turning it towards the right side. So I'm just going to hold it together and go ahead and stitch it down the sewing machine and make my top stitch. So this is how it was. So you can see this is the right side of the main piece and this is the wrong side of the interface. So the next thing I'm just going to do is just to make a notch across the neck area. So I am already done making the notch. So the next thing I'm just going to do is just to go ahead and flip it over to see how it's going to be looking like. But before I flip it over, I'm going to make a top stitch on the main fabric. I'll be top stitching the neck on the main fabric, and after that I'll just fold it in to give it that look at the back, and I'm going to run a stitch over. So this is how it came out to be after I've already top stitched on the main fabric and then turned it over. So the next thing I'll be doing is to place the front on the back piece, right sides facing each other. So I'm just going to arrange it properly. Then I'm just going to go ahead and turn it, like I'll be turning the shoulder area. I'll be turning the shoulder area with the interface so that it's going to have a neat finish. I don't know if you can see what I'm doing. Okay, so I'm just going to first of all place the front piece on the interface, then run a stitch there, then cover it up with the main stitch, as you can see me doing. Let me repeat myself. I am just going to place the front right sides facing each other. So I'm going to pick the front piece and the interface, then use the back piece to cover up. So this is how it came out after I was done, and you can see inside there's just a neat finish, but you can notice the excess of the shoulder part because of the mistake that was made earlier. So if you get to this point and you also experience what you can see here, like the back part is bigger than the front, you don't need to panic. What you just need to do is just to trim out the excess you are having at that shoulder region. So I just went ahead with my scissors to cut out the excess part. So I'm done trimming out the excess. So now the shoulder is now properly aligned. So what I'm just going to do is to make notches at the shoulder part. Because there is a come down in front, the shoulder part will be different. Just arrange your fabric properly and ensure that everything is aligning. Then you can now go ahead to make notches for where you will attach your sleeve. So this is it. I've already gone ahead to attach my sleeve, and the come down is in front, as you can see. So, and I've already gone ahead to shaping it, like I shaping it with the allowance I left earlier. Then you can see the back. So now I've gone ahead to weave. Then the next thing I'm just going to do is to make openings by the side of the top. So as you can see, I did not sew it down completely. I left like 5 inches or 4 or 3, depending on how long your sleeve is, so you know how long you can leave. So I'm just marking 1 inch at each side. I'm marking 1 inch there and 1 inch here too. So I am just going to mark it because that's where I'll be sewing on. So it's just like a guide. Then I'm just making like a triangle up at the upper part where my sewing end. So that's just to hold down that part. So I'm just making sure that everything aligns by measuring. I'm measuring it to see that it is well shaped and it's aligned. This process I'll also be doing it for the other end too. So I am just marking it at each point to make sure that it is well shaped. So I'm done marking it for both sides. So I'm just going to go ahead and stitch it down with the sewing machine. So at this point I was already done making the openings and turned in the hem part of the top. So I'll be placing my pocket. So I'm just going to arrange my pockets, then measure and ensure that they are of the same sizes at both sides. So I just came in by 2 inches, then mark the point. Then I also did it for the other side to ensure that it is equal at each end, at both ends. So I'm just going to hold it down with my pin. At the end too, I also came in by 2 inches and mark, then arrange my pockets there and then fold it. So just what I'm just doing basically is just ensuring that my pocket is properly placed and spaced. So I'm just going to do both what I did for this pocket on the other end too. So after I've placed both pockets, I am just going to hold it with my pin, then go ahead and cross check if they are on the same line. Then I'll head over to the sewing machine. So this is how it came out to be looking like when I was done. So now I'll be working with the trouser part of the scrub. So what I'm just doing is just trying to fix my pockets, my inner pockets. So I'll just do this off camera. So I joined the back crotch together off camera too. So this is how it look like. You can see the back crotch has been joined together. So the next thing I'm going to do is to place my front. I've already gone ahead to fix in my pocket and as well join the crotch. So if you don't want a pocket, there's no need for you to go through the stress of prefixing a pocket if you didn't cut out a pocket for yours. Then I'm just going to place them right sides facing each other. I'm just going to place them right sides facing each other. Then I'm going to head over to the sewing machine and take it down by the 1.5 inch I marked earlier. I'll be doing that on both sides. This is a free trouser, so I'll just be making use of my allowances. So I've already gone ahead to fix the 1.5 inch together. The next thing I'm just going to do is just to match the crotch together. I'm just going to match the crotch together, then sew at that point with like 0.5 inch. I'm just going to take 0.5 inch round it. This is how the trouser came out to be after taking the 0.5 inch round. The next thing I'm just going to do is just to cross check and see, okay, after doing that, I see it is exactly how I wanted it, and I still have extra allowance inside. So this pant is supposed to be a free pant. It's not supposed to be tight because it will be used in the hospital and running around, so it will not tear easily. So I'm just checking out my measurements and everything is how I want it to be. So the next thing I'm just going to head over to do is to fixing the waist part. So basically what I'm just doing is just aligning the trouser perfectly. So the next thing I'm just going to go ahead is to cut over the excess, because I noticed there were excesses after I had already arranged them. So the next part I'll be working with is the waist part. So I just arranged the trouser, then brought out the piece I'll be using for the waist, where I'll be attaching my elastic. That is around 3 inches wide, because I'll be passing my elastic of 1 inch around it. So I'm just measuring the band. Then I also went ahead to measure out the width of the band, which is around 3 inches. Then earlier we cut out 2 pieces of it. So now I'll just pick up the waist of the trouser, then arrange it properly and just measure. I'm just going to measure the waist of the trouser and see if it aligns with what I am having for the band. So I'm just going to go ahead and measure. Once I'm done measuring it, I'm just going to go ahead to the sewing machine, then stitch the band. I'll be stitching both sides to each other. I'm going to attach elastic to it, like I will stitch it down, then put my elastic inside. Okay, so I was already done. You can see how the band is looking like. So the next thing I'm just going to do is just to go ahead and get the midpoint of the band and the midpoint of the trouser. You see, as I'm pulling it, the band is aligning with the trouser. So I'm just going to locate the midpoint of each. I'm just going to locate the midpoint of the band here. I'm going to make a notch with my scissors. Then I am just going to match it to the midpoint of the trouser. So the next I'm going to do now is just to secure each part with pin. So I'm just going to match the midpoint of the band and the trouser together, then secure it with my pin. Then the next thing I'm just going to go ahead to do is to go over to my sewing machine and just attach the band to the trouser. So this is what it came out to be looking like. That brings us to the end of this tutorial. Thank you for watching this video. Do well to give a thumbs up and as well subscribe.